hockey world.
A little bit,
Right on.
yeah. Did you ever play any hockey?
I never did. I was a basketball, volleyball kind of guy.
Okay, yeah. So, thank you for coming on the podcast, Abe. I appreciate it. How did you get into business? How did you start your first company?
Okay, so my brother come to me, brother 2 years older, he come to me and said, you want to buy a little freight company and a livestock company. So, and the company's called like Crate Transport, hauling freight from Edmonton north to High Level, like Crate Fort Family and that kind of part of the world, and hauling livestock. So we did that on my 20th birthday. We kind of bought this company. My dad co-signed, and so that's how we started the business world.
Okay, cool. And then where'd you kind of go from there? Like, did that company take off right away? Or?
Well, it was an existing company. I've been around a long time, so we
Okay.
kind of grew that from a couple of trucks to about 15 or 20 trucks, probably highway trucks, you know. Had it for 8 years. But meanwhile, I started in a fuel, propane, and chemical business. And also started investing in other people's ventures, startups, you know.
Okay.
So I've always done lots of that, investing in startup companies. And then when it's profitable enough or we can sell for a good dollar, we would sell it. So just an investment on the side to help grow the business.
So how do you determine what a good investment would be?
Yeah, those are good challenges. A very good question. I guess first of all, if I have comfort in that business, that I can see our way through. I think it's very important not just to wildly expand a business. I have to really get to know the business, understand it, and every time we've entered a different business, then I find it's either way more lucrative, way better than I thought, way worse than I thought, but for sure different than I thought.
Okay.
All these things that I didn't think about, it's really important to think it through, and the more experience you get, the more I can think it through, and then always be able to see my way through if I invest in it, not just live on a wish and a dream. You know, we like to kind of hopefully say, now this makes sense. I think I can make this work, right?
Yeah.
And not to invest in anything that I cannot see through or envision working. You have to have the vision for it, and then don't take the steps that are too big, right?
Okay.
Make sure you can kind of see your way through quite easily, so you figure it'll work. So.
Did you always know that you were going to be an entrepreneur? Did you always have that?
No, I'm a real schoolboy. I loved school, and I was going to be a dentist growing up. And as I'm packing my bags to try and get ready to go to Edmonton, then my brother come to me and asked if we were going to buy this company, make some money, and then you can go to school. Ooh, I thought that was a good idea. I come from not a well-to-do. It was a good household, but my folks were farmers, and we lived like everybody else did. This last generation or two, the wealth has come up quite a bit for a lot of people. So yeah, no, it was not my dream growing up that I'd be in business, but I'm really enjoying it. That's why I'm still in business, you know. So
cool.
So we've set up our company now in a way that it's a family trust. We have 4 children, 2 girls and 2 boys, and they own the trust. And should something happen to me that all of a sudden I'm not around or my brain doesn't work, then automatically they would own the businesses.
Okay. So how did you kind of decide how you're going to pass that down? How did that process work?
Well, that's been a long time already. So I've had it since about I was 55 years old, and now I'm 71. So the banks kind of pushed me into it too, saying, hey, you know, if you don't have no plans of retiring, you like what you do, we'd go on holidays, but it's always kind of a week or 2 or 10 days kind of stuff. And so when I get bored, unless I have something on my mind and some passion or something I want to go to, you know, get involved in. So I said, unless the world changes and get tired of it, then I want to keep on in business. So then they suggested, well, you better make some arrangements, because I've always had lots of debt. I use money to spend money, and don't have any big holding things, anything. It's just I play with money, and I need the bank's help. So they've always been very generous and all that jazz. So we've always been able to pay everybody back. So we've never had a write off a bill. Like I pride myself in that, you know, just to make sure everybody's comfortable with what we do.
Was there ever a time you were really scraping by in one of your startups and kind of scrambling?
For sure, yeah. So we started our business, our trucking business, in '73. And then by the time 1980 came around, we had a real boom going in the late '70s, right? Our company grew really fast. We diversified and bought much more equipment and trucks, and had a few more branches and stuff. So, but then 1980 come and then interest went up to like 20+%, like
Wow.
21 to 3%. So it was really stressful, but we made it through and adapted as we needed to do that, right? So
Okay.
yeah, it went well.
Okay. And with all your businesses, are you kind of someone who just saw opportunity in different areas? You kind of expanded.
Um, yeah, I always liked the idea a bit about diversification, and so like right now we would be involved in 3 oil field service companies, and then 3 service companies that are non-oil field,
Mm.
and then we have 4 real estate companies, and then 3 that are, I don't know what bracket to put them in, like the air medevacs for Alberta. I don't, it's no real division, not an airline division or something like that, right? So we have a few of them that are just and then a hotel and stuff that we're involved in, and so some of these things we don't. I'm not sure where it goes. We'll see how opportunities come along, and but what's happened in 2014? I've always been very involved with the oil patch, and Alberta's economy, or Grand Prairie's economy, is very much oil field dependent. That's the biggest uh, part of the business world in northern Alberta is oil.
Mm.
Yes, we have agriculture, we have forestry, we have different kinds of business, but well, the oil patch drives the bus. In 2014, when the oil price collapsed and there's just too much production and whatever, um, it sure felt like 1980 when all of a sudden the world come to a stop, right? So those things you have to be mindful of. The oil patch is more cyclical, and you get bigger opportunities, but you also get bigger challenges when it all of a sudden really slows down. So you can't be as financed in an oil patch business compared to other businesses because they have more fluctuations.
Okay. So how do you manage your time with all these different businesses? Like, how do you know what's going on in each of them?
Well, that's what It's a very good question. That's what I do. I don't specifically run. See, the kind of 4 companies that our company runs. The other ones would be more investment, and so the 4 that we run would be the hotel here in town, like the Delta and the Grand hotels,
Okay.
and the medevacs like CanWest Aviation. We run that one, and we run our Crosslink, the land development and housing company. So the 4 companies that I'm very involved with, we run them, and the other guys I'm on the phone with most every day, and but I'm not physically there. But I do talk to partners or whoever runs them, and try and be very involved with that. So that's where I try and get our family more involved with all that. So, and we have 2 of the 4 children work with us. And,
Okay.
so we talked about Ethan Hansen, his mom and dad. We've always worked together for a long time, and then our youngest son Eric is our controller of our companies. So we kind of are all very involved in what we do, and
Cool.
so I hope they know what I know, and I learn from them, they learn from me, kind of stuff.
Cool. So you have lots of employees. So what is that like, managing people and being a leader, and how do you learn to deal with people?
Yeah, I've always, and it was a big stretch mark when the first business we bought, because I didn't understand business at all, but I've always loved people. I like to relate to people, challenge people, and try and get the best out of them, but make them think. If we can, I find our staff, if I can get people to think and share their ideas, suggestions how to make the company better, then they're more involved. The more they are involved, the longer they stay. They got to be involved, and they got to be rewarded, right? Don't take advantage of people. If I'm the only guy winning, or any kind of a sale, if I have a sale, I sell something, I'm the only guy winning, the other party is not winning, that's not a good deal. It's horrible. It comes back to bite you. It's just not good. both parties always need to have a good deal. The same with staff. Whatever people we work with, I want them to treat it like their own and that they're really part of it and they're involved. And that creates long-term people. And then always encourage them. Like, and if you have other opportunities, I would never say, "Oh no, yeah, well, I need you," like beg people to stay. No, no, no. If they want to go and they have other dreams, they should follow their dreams. And hopefully, we can have the dreams in companies that we're involved with because we need people. Otherwise, I'm out of business. So
That's right.
so um, it's very important to challenge people, make them feel involved. And I remember going to a branch once, and one of the guys working there said, "So what do you really do?" I said, "I love that question. It's not an out of bounds question at all. I love that." I said, "Every business either has to make money, has to be safe. We want everybody to go home safe at the end of the shift or the end of the day or whatever happens. And it's very important. Otherwise, we're not going to be in business. If we injure people, it doesn't work. And we have to be profitable. Otherwise, the bus runs out of fuel. I mean, we need to be profitable. So those are the two things. But what I really do, those things are no-brainers. We have to do them. All the other things, like find out the morale of the people, the morale of the customers. Do they like working with us or don't they like working with us? Or, what's the relationship like? And that's where I spend most of my time, just to try and get to know and organize people. It doesn't matter if it's a store or a business, whatever the stores are, a family. We need to all communicate and we need to be happy. And it's not fun to go and let somebody go. But if you see it just doesn't work for us to have them there, then it doesn't work for them to be there either. Long term, it's better for them to be somewhere else. If the only reason they're there is for the money, it's not a long term gig,
Yeah.
You need to create happiness and that they got to be fulfilled, they need to be part of. And if we can coach that right, then we have lots of really long term people, right? So
Cool. Yeah, it sounds like you really value the employees and
well,
they.
big time.
Yeah.
That's my number one.
Cool.
That's the deal.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that's what you gotta have. So I'm sorry, give me one sec here. So let's say that an opportunity presents itself, and it's in an industry that you're unfamiliar with. It's a good opportunity, but it's an industry you're unfamiliar with. So where do you go from there? Do you drop it, or do you try to learn the industry, or what would you do?
Yeah, that's also, I like that. Very much so. And if I simply don't know anything about it, then for sure I should not be managing that business, right? It would lean on somebody else. And I've had real surprises where I've got involved in something and I really, really don't like how it is. So I need to try and get out of it, unwind or sell out or do whatever. But yeah, I think it's life is more fulfilling if I step out of my sandbox and try and do something else. I think is a good idea. Like I'm not a pilot. I like the aviation business, but I got into it simply because I liked it and I liked the partners that we bought in with. But I didn't know anything about it. But on the other hand, I was just investing for a number of years until eventually, I lost my partner that ran it during COVID, and then originally we had like 12 people involved, 12 different parties, and then now we're the only one left, right? So we slowly buy people out as the opportunities come. But yeah, that's new territory, right? So, yeah.
What is it like selling a company that you used to own? What does that process look like? How does it feel?
I just always look at it and say, hey, have we grown that company to a size that it should be part of a big conglomerate, or somebody just focuses on that? And the time is right to sell it, and I'm happy with the price, then I would take it. And I'm never married to any company.
Yeah.
So if opportunity presents itself, then I would sell.
Yeah. So would you say your biggest business partner is your wife?
Yes, but she's always been a homemaker. So
okay.
And yeah, we talk about all this stuff, but what involves I'll answer that question, or I'll try and answer your question with a different
Sure.
example. I had a partner I grew up with, Not well. Yeah, I was invested in him somewhat too for a while. While a partner and otherwise just investment. He passed away and left his wife a big company to run. And when I talked to her, she said, I always knew what we were doing, what kind of business we did in what town and wherever, and all the branches. I knew what they were doing, kind of the size of the business. But she said, I have no idea that I need to have a relationship with the staff that I did not have, a relationship with the banker, with all the suppliers, with the customers. Like, you need to have relationships out there. I'm not saying with every person because it's impossible. One company we had like 14,000 customers. Well, I cannot have a relationship with people like that, right? So, but I can, generally speaking, I can speak the language of that business. I can challenge people. Yeah. I can, I have a feeling for it, right? And we need to get that feeling. And so, but to sell, I look back and, maybe I shouldn't have sold this, maybe I shouldn't have sold that, but, or done this, that. There's always regrets, the should have, would have, could have, those ideas. But just don't dwell on that stuff,
So what does your decision-making process look like? Would you say you're someone who quickly makes decisions, or do you really think it out? or is it?
Yeah, I'm definitely the aggressive kind. I normally make decisions quite quickly, unless something I'm just my computer is full and I need to just think about things and ask for time. But normally, I try and make decisions quite quickly.
What role has your faith played in business?
Well, I think a huge difference. I see miracles every day. I see all these things that I don't know how they could have come together unless I'm a person that I believer of faith. And how could things fit so well? And sometimes they don't fit well, but a lot of times they do. And also, I think I want to do business with people that are credible, they're respectable, they're honorable. And so I need to live by the same rule book I expect suppliers or customers or whatever. What they look for, I need to supply. Otherwise, I can't be in that business. I think it's so important to be an open book. Of course, we all have trade secrets that we don't really want the world to know. But reality is, just share everything. Just share your life. And if somebody comes here and, hey, you cheated me, or you did this, or you did that, by Jimmy, you've got to address that very clearly. And most of our companies are we have very good detail in our records, and I could just show them exactly, this is what I paid, and this is what I sold for, or this is what the service work I did for you. Big oil companies or governments want that. End of the day, they normally, they come back with certain questions, and they want to understand if it's a long-term relationship with a big company or a big business. They want to get to know their supplier and say, how much money does the guy make? What does he pay for certain things? And I like to be really open book with that. Yeah. I think both sides need to understand. They got to understand that we need to make some money.
Yeah.
But they also don't want to pay too much, and right. I can appreciate that.
So what does it look like going into business meetings with big oil companies or big government executives? How do you deal with that?
I think just still try and be as personal as you can and as open as you can, and have a vision. Share your vision with them. If they can see you're trying hard, maybe your batting performance hasn't been the best, but there's room for improvement. There's probably opportunity to grow and get a closer working relationship. I just find if they can really understand what we're doing, and I ask them for help and say, hey, do you like what we're doing? Are we doing it the right way, or do you have suggestions how we could do it better? If we invite them into our business, as well as open our books to show them our business and tell them what we do and why we do certain things, I think that really encourages that relationship. And it doesn't matter if it's in a family and anything. If we can take the time to try and explain a bit what you do, not be a long, unbroken, like broken record, just keep talking about the same stuff. You got to have some new ideas, and once you've shared that, then that's good. Then they know what I think, because I don't dream or make stuff up. I tell them what it is, and that's what I do.
So, what qualities do you think sets you apart? Would you say it is your aggressiveness, or what do you think it
You
would
know,
be?
I like that. I do think we all have our own business style, and if people can see value in working in a place that we're involved with, and they can see that they can learn from us and we're going to learn from them, that's why I'm never scared of competition, because I like to get to know them. I like to steal their ideas, and because I assume they're going to steal ours too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We got to work together to make that industry better. If I can be involved in an industry that I can improve, that we can talk about, make it more safe or more efficient or more whatever, um, I think then that's a good business, because we need to all move the business in a right direction.
Hmm.
So
So, how often, how much time do you think you spend, or if any, trying to trying to separate your company from the rest and really highlight different parts of your business?
I would never spend time to try and look different than another company. I just want to do it better.
Okay.
I just think if I can be more efficient or more insightful, or I realize where customers really like the value the relationship. So if I can be in a business where the customer comes to me and says, I have trouble with this and this. Can you help me with this? I would for sure not spread any gossip. I would do whatever, but if I could help, I would definitely get very involved in helping with no matter what. Is it business, friendship, family, whatever in the world it is? I would try and get involved as much as I could to help them with their problem. And I know we've got a lot of business out there simply by helping people, something not business focused at all, just other things. And people value relationships. And no matter if that person's a long way away and you see them once a year or once every number of years or every month or every week or every day, it doesn't matter how often, but if you're available and they actually want to visit with you, um, take the time to take that serious and then visit with them.
Hmm. Yeah, I like that. I had someone on here, and they told me the greatest of them all is the servant of them all. Just someone who really cares, and someone who really cares, I think, will naturally progress faster.
Well, yeah, that, and I think you have to have a personality that likes that. Some people, they're very good tradespeople, right? And they can do a trade like I'm not a tradesperson. Let's get the story straight. It's not, but I realize the value of it. I don't think there's any such a thing that one job is worth more than other jobs.
For
I
sure.
mean, they're all very, very important. Um, but you got to realize who we are and where can we move the needle? Where can we, better the world around you, or live
Mhm.
into other people's lives, or whatever you do. Some people are
Cool.
good at this, some are at that, right?
Hmm. So, are you constantly thinking of new ideas for new companies still, or?
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't think that'll quit. We, like I say, right now we got caught maybe with a few more companies than I'd like to, but since 2014, when the oil price kind of collapsed again, and then after that, there's been such a focus on climate change and
Right.
carbons in the air and whatever, all that kind of stuff. Um, that the demanded a lot of change in how we do business, and we were also quite dependent on the oil patch, and so we've really changed how we do business, and so it's taken quite a bit of time, and also there's been fewer companies buying companies in that world because of
Mm.
what's all been the story, right? So hopefully we can sell a few more companies in the next few years and maybe get involved in other ones. Or if no good opportunities come along, then don't.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
kind of.
So, what was it like raising a family during all this busy in your life?
Yeah, I look back sometime. Yes, for sure, I would have um, liked to spend maybe more time with family, but yeah, my wife Agnes, she's been more than busy in raising the family, and I'd be around as much as I could and be involved as much as I could. And so they've all turned out really good. So I just saying hallelujah. It's a good thing.
Mhm.
So I'm happy about that. We all get along really good. So I'm happy about all that stuff.
What's the best piece of like biblical advice you got?
Oh my goodness. I think putting people first. I just really think from doesn't matter if it's a supplier, or a banker, or a customer, or whatever. They're all people, and if we look at business as people, I think, and I think the Bible's all about that. You know, love the Lord with all your heart and soul, and then love your neighbor as yourself. I mean, and I think that is the key to love people. Like, don't be critical of them. Some people are just so different than us, and I may have trouble understanding them, or they may have trouble understanding me. But we need to just value them for who they are, and try not to change people. If we can do business, and I see maybe somebody has a problem in a certain area, just don't be critical of that, and don't try and change them. It's up to them to want to change, because they ain't changing unless they want to change, right? So we just gotta, push and pull and do whatever to try and get people to open up and see it and want to change if we need change. But yeah, I think I would say that's the biggest thing. I think because opportunities come and go, but the opportunities to visit with people and getting to know them better, sometimes those windows aren't that long, so we got to make sure we value them.
So do you think you developed that, or was that kind of something that you were taught when you were growing up, or how did your care for people come about?
I would say my biggest thing that I remember growing up, my dad was very fussy about that. I would never say something negative about other people or be critical to other people. He was very big on that. Like, boy, you appreciate people, and that's just the deal. And they make their decisions, we make ours. Don't be critical of what they made, because I make a lot of bad decisions. Look at the stories here. They're not all winners. I've had some really not good situations, right? But we've also had really a lot of good wins, but we've had definitely a lot of situations that were not good. So that's part of the game.
So do you think your losses outnumber your wins, but your wins overpower your losses?
No, I would say we definitely have way more wins than we have losses. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. That's good. And so what does that business consulting look like? When you go into someone's business after you just got a part in it, what do you usually tell them? What's usually the first thing that they're doing wrong, or the mistake that they're making?
Well, so I'd like to get measurables in there. I think it's always important to measure up to whatever. So you need to have measurables in there. This is what we've invested in, or this is what our vision was. This is what we set up for. And then how do we describe success? How would we figure out if, we're doing a good job and it's going to grow, or no, we did a horrible job, we have no clue what we're doing. I mean, we need to understand what we'd like to accomplish. And I always try to be more patient than I actually am with getting companies on the right track. But it just takes time for sure. Yeah.
So how do you develop a vision for your companies?
No, that's a good. Don't spend too much time with that.
Okay.
Yeah. No, sorry, I can't.
No,
I can't really answer that well. It always just has to we have to grow it to something that can work, right? And then I've been involved in so many businesses that have so changed. And with that, I realized that most businesses can adapt and change, So one company I'm involved in, it's not here, it was in 3 countries. And that is, like when you buy a car, in 1980 is about 30% of the price of the vehicle was paid to assembly line production. For all that. Well, they have really changed. Now about 7% is paid for assembly line workers, because all the parts, like the cars don't get painted when they're done. The parts are all individually painted, and the doors are put together somewhere else. So you just hang the door on the car, and the rooftops or the hoods or the engines are built somewhere else, and they come to the assembly line fully assembled, and they're going to work. And the transmissions and same with the frame and the struts. So I'm involved in an outfit that makes the racks where these robots can take the parts off the vehicle to assemble a motor, or they take the parts off to assemble the vehicle itself, the door, or parts of that vehicle, right? And so we do that in Windsor, Ontario, which serves that Detroit, Windsor market. There's a big assembly market going on there. And the vehicle I drive, a Jeep Grand Cherokee, they put like 1,300 a day together in Detroit every day, right? So, and then one is in Lawrenceburg in Tennessee. There's a Louisiana, Alabama. There's a big circle of Tennessee. There's a whole bunch of stuff gets assembled there, and then a couple of branches in Mexico. So it's been very good for me to be part of that business. No, I wouldn't say it's been the most lucrative. I've definitely
Okay.
been involved in a lot better businesses, a lot
Yeah.
better. But it's been an eye opener how the world can change
Mm.
and how they look at risk. Like, why I bring that up is there's a few things. The risk, I like that. There's no vehicle that GM or Ford or Chrysler or Honda or Toyota, they will always be at least two plants where they assemble the engines or the vehicles, the pickups or the cars. Always two plants that build a vehicle. Should one burn down or go on strike or do something, then the other one could supply.
Mm-hmm.
And every plant builds product for at least two different kind of vehicles, like maybe
Okay.
trucks and cars or
Yeah.
different kinds of whatever, but just to eliminate risk.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's good things for me to learn.
For
You know,
sure.
like we need to cover our risk
Yeah.
and look at the rewards. You know.
So how do you stay ahead of change and try to beat it before you get
Yeah, no,
washed out?
that's why you got to have good measurables in there.
Right?
If you have good measurables, then you know your train's going off the track or not.
And
you
so, what are some examples of measurables?
know? Like production performance.
Okay.
And then I try and normally get involved with some peers that do the same business we do. And then just to kind of get a feeling, are we good at this business? Are we terrible at it? Or how's our production
Mhm.
compared to yours? Or our innovation, all that kind of stuff. But I just find normally the longer I'm in business in a certain thing, then